Information items only. Robin Hensel, resolution request, city administrator.
I received a request the other day from Robin Hensel regarding the information that's included in your packet. I believe she should be able to have an opportunity to discuss her item. We've got a couple of presentations this evening, and so how long you'd like to give to each one, it's up to the...
Well, we've got enough, so let's give them each 15 minutes if they want it. Yeah, but that and Robin. You know, the only thing I'll say about that resolution, that, you know, as elected officials for the work with, we're supposed to work for the city. We don't work for the state or the federal government, so to me the resolution doesn't mean a thing. Robin, you want to speak on your resolution, or?
Yes, I can. This group is headed up by Jack Nelson Pallmeyer of St. Thomas University in Minneapolis. And this is a call from the ground level up to go forward up to the higher levels of legislative body to show to the legislators that we have that the military budget and spending that we have is unreasonable and unsustainable. Besides which, the facts that you have there, I'd just like to read something. This is from the Cato Institute of Budgetary Savings and Military Restraint. It says, but the cuts here would be prudent even in an era of surpluses. The United States does not need to spend $700 billion a year, nearly half of global military spending, to preserve its security. By capitalizing on geopolitical fortune, we can safely spend far less. Our global military activism wastes resources, drags us into others' conflicts, provokes animosity, drives rivals to arm, and encourages weapons proliferation. To date, the United States has spent more than $2.5 trillion on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Pentagon spending spree that accompanied it and a battery of new homeland security measures instituted after September 11th. How have we paid for this? Entirely through borrowing. Spending on the wars and on added security at home has accounted for more than 1/4 of the total increase in United States government debt since 2001. And not only did we fail to pay as we went for the wars, the George W. Bush administration also successfully pushed tax cuts in 2001 and again in 2003, which added further to this debt. This toxic combination of lower revenues and higher spending has brought the country to its current political stalemate. Even if we were to leave Afghanistan and Iraq tomorrow, our war debt would continue to rise for decades. And I also sent an email earlier, about a week ago, to the mayor, stating that the U.S. mayors passed a resolution to bring the war dollars home. If we don't begin to act now, I believe that this debt that's being incurred for military spending is going to bankrupt this nation. That's my firm belief, and the resolution is pretty clear and stated. 59 cents out of every dollar is just not acceptable for us to be spending. No wonder we have to cut police and firefighters. And the 2011 budget shutdown in Minnesota was greatly attributed to this military spending. So I would ask that you consider this. This has been presented to a lot of different councils. We'll be continuing to go forward. There's a lot of people, individuals, organizations, churches, and council members in different areas that have already signed on to this. And I would hope you'd give this some serious consideration.
Well, what's the council? What do you think? I'm strictly against it myself because, just like I said, we're not in this for the state or federal projects or stuff like this. I think we're we're elected to do work of the city and not of any of these political groups.
This is nonpartisan.
I don't care if it's not partisan. It's the same thing.
That's always the first word you hear.
Yeah,
Nonpartisan. It is. And there again, I don't know what the community as a whole feels about this, and that's who I'm here to serve as the community as a whole. So for me to just make a decision like this, just kind of off the cuff, I guess I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that either.
I agree with that on the grounds that I haven't heard anything from any of the constituents one way or another, besides Robin. And I would like to hear a little more before I can make any kind of decision on something like this. I'm completely in the dark right now. It's just first time I heard about it, and I don't understand all the people who signed this or what groups they belong to or things like that. And it should take a little bit of, I wouldn't be very responsible if I didn't check into it at least, you know?
What do you think, Lauren?
Yeah, I don't believe that it's shared by very many people.
Has anyone here read the information I gave?
I
Yes.
did.
I looked through it. It's just there's a lot of people in here that I don't know anything about. You know,
Well, I'd like to ask that you all have a chance to research this and maybe put it on the next council meeting on the actual agenda. That's
Well,
my
if there's not
request.
gonna, if the people in this group right here won't support it, why bring it into the main council? Because this is the council.
Well, I'll tell you exactly the answer for that. Mr. Gosiak just stated he doesn't believe any constituents besides myself feel this. The constituents, the citizens of the city don't even know about this. The reason for putting it on the
Well,
agenda,
If you take it, if we start with this kind of stuff, we're gonna get, you're taking this off the computer, and we're gonna get resolutions for everything. And this isn't not what the city council is about. Resolutions that are protecting PETA, you're gonna have all this kind of stuff. I think it's hogwash.
well, PETA is not supported by government. The military is, and another good reason for putting it on the agenda is your new current city administrator said that if this was in Brainerd, he would have put it on the agenda. He was unsure how this council would want to deal with that. That clearly tells me that something's wrong with this picture. In the training from League of Minnesota Cities, the attorney that stood up, I have him on record, I taped the whole thing, saying the reason you put things on the agenda is so that constituents can have issues that are important viewed to the public. And if public spending for military dollars isn't a public issue, I don't know what is.
We've looked at it, we've read it, let's go on to
You're-
the next
you're-
one.
Well, I'd like to say something. First of all, is that, I think that if the local citizens have a problem with government spending on the military, that Al Franken would be a good source to go to, and I know that Al is looking at drafting a bill, as I was in that article, or you had mentioned somebody else had. But not only him, but get a hold of Paul Gazilka and some of our representatives, because they are hitting on that the level that they're supposed to be working on those things. We're looking at city budgets and those not. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, you flopped off that figure for the military and how much they're spending. But I don't know as a whole, what the whole federal government budget is and exactly what they're spending on and the percentage that is going towards military and not and all of these other things. And so, for us to look at this, we'd have to know all of that stuff, Robin. And I personally, to this day, have not had one individual, ask me to do any of this when it comes to any kind of on a federal level. When I went in on the mayor's site that you had sent me, that was more of a democratic group of individuals that, and some of them even themselves expressed that they didn't feel that they could speak for the citizens of their community, but there were many others who felt that they should speak for the citizens of their community, and it became a little bit controversial there. But that was there again. We're talking New York mayor, some of those huge cities. So, for us to start dealing with some of these things on a local issue until we find out that the citizens of this community, those are the things that they want this council to be spending their time on, I just don't see where we could be doing that when we have so many other things that we need to be dealing with.
Well, this isn't New York spending, this is Minnesota spending. And the figures here, you can check them out with the Minnesota Resources and the GAO of the United States. Do your own fact checking. If this council believes that where would this council propose that the money would come from to pay back this money for Iraq and Afghanistan? For starters, to say nothing about going forward with the drone programs and everything that's projected. See, no one has any answers to that. This is a fiscal issue, and this council is expected to deal with fiscal
We
issues.
can't do the fiscal agents for the government, for the national government. I mean, we're just
Well,
people.
that's not what this is calling
Oh,
for.
well,
This is
that's
calling
state, so
for
what
attention
difference
to a
does it make?
fiscal calamity.
I have to clarify one thing. I did not say you were the only one. I said I haven't heard from anyone. Sometimes, Robin, I'm afraid to talk because you take things out of context and you go say something else, and I didn't even have that meaning behind it. I'd like to have you come in sometimes and actually talk to me and go out without some kind of negative response all the time. I'd like to, I hear that you talk about Councilman Crowder, how great a man he is. There's a lot of people on this group here that do a lot of things for this city, but all I ever hear coming from your side is what a bunch of mess ups we are, which isn't true.
I've never made that comment ever.
Well,
That's a
it's
non-true
just what
statement.
I hear and when I
That's
hear
a
all the
non-true
time.
statement.
Okay,
I'd like you to
That's my
present some
perception.
facts on that.
Irvin, what do you want to say?
President, we're not supposed to talk to you by rights. Know that.
concerning,
And I was gonna talk to your interpreter, Crowder, he's not here. So therefore, I wanna ask you, are you,
Are you trying to be humorous or what?
trying to state facts?
Why aren't you supposed to talk to me? I'm a tax-paying
We
citizen
were
here.
told not to talk to you.
About the lawsuit.
That's anything.
This has nothing to do with the lawsuit.
I asked you if you had a vendetta against the National Guards.
No, I don't have a
I'm
vendetta
saying
against
this
the
because
military at all.
They're doing what they're told to do. What you want something to do, to go to Washington, go to the White House, go to Congress, go to the Pentagon. They're
You're not
doing-
concerned about the spending in our
Of
country?
course I am.
Who's gonna pay for the wars and going
We've
forward?
had wars since you were one BC, that's all I'm gonna say.
If it wouldn't be for the wars, you wouldn't get the chance to
That's right.
protest.
Yeah.
You
What do you
had
think,
Hitler,
Mike?
Mussolini,
You want it on?
Joseph Stalin.
I don't even wanna see it.
Mary
I think
Elvira.
it's,
This is-
I
this is
think
not
it's,
about that.
it'll never fly, so we will not put it on the agenda, so we'll go on to the next item of business.
I said, I don't want to see it, don't hire me.
Habitat for Humanity request.